In the aftermath of tragedy, when hearts fracture and loyalties blur, Port Charles becomes a crucible of grief, manipulation, and choices that echo far beyond intention. On the July 16, 2025 episode of General Hospital, the death of a child continues to haunt everyone touched by her brief life, none more so than Willow, whose unraveling is at the center of a chain reaction that threatens to destroy not only her family, but her very soul. And as those around her struggle to hold the pieces together, others exploit the chaos for their own agenda, none more ruthlessly than Drew, who seems to believe that protecting Willow justifies shattering everything else. Michael is at a breaking point. The grief of losing his child has not settled, and the instability at home has only grown. Caught in a tug-of-war between what remains of his fractured family and the unfamiliar future waiting beyond the borders of Port Charles, Michael is no longer certain of his place in the world. The idea of joining Daisy abroad, escaping the judgment and pressure, tempts him deeply. But the implications for Wiley and Amelia remain unresolved. He contemplates a short-term solution that might provide everyone space to breathe, sending the children to Sasha until the October custody hearing. That choice, though pragmatic, also feels like surrender. Ultimately, Michael allows Sasha and Daisy to depart, standing stoically as he says goodbye to Amelia, the weight of that farewell pressing like iron across his chest. Sasha watches, quietly absorbing the pain that Michael refuses to show, bearing witness to a man whose love for his children is being twisted by forces beyond his control. But peace is fleeting in Port Charles, and Michael's torment is far from over. Unbeknownst to him, Drew has turned into a darker version of himself, forged by guilt and an overwhelming desire to shield Willow from any further hurt. Drew believes that Michael's emotional unraveling is not only endangering Willow but potentially triggering her complete collapse. Her grief has mutated into erratic behavior, impulsivity, mistrust, and a deepening paranoia. Drew, always the fixer, begins to see Michael not as the victim of loss, but as the catalyst for Willow's spiral. What begins as concern quickly warps into something far more sinister. Drew sets into motion a calculated plan to discredit Michael in a way that could permanently remove him from Willow's life. But to succeed, he needs help from someone with access to the right records, and he turns to Portia. For weeks, she's been drowning in her own moral compromise, ever since being blackmailed by the WSB to falsify evidence against Trina. The guilt lingers like a shadow, and when Drew confronts her, he plays directly to her vulnerability. He doesn't threaten her outright, but he doesn't need to. The implication is clear: if she doesn't comply, he will expose every decision she's made under duress. Drew's demand is brutal. He wants Portia to alter Michael's toxicology reports to show signs of long-term opioid dependency, allegedly from pain management following his burn injuries. It's a lie so invasive, so permanent, that even if Michael were to contest it, the damage to his custody battle and professional life would be irreversible. Portia recoils at the idea. The very foundation of her life, her oath, her integrity, is being held hostage. Alone in her office, she shatters the glass frame holding her medical degree, as if trying to destroy the symbol of her failure before she becomes complicit again. The sound of breaking glass mirrors her breaking spirit. Portia is trapped between preserving the truth and surviving the corruption that threatens to swallow them all. Meanwhile, Jason re-enters the orbit of these fractures, attempting to balance his own family's needs with the ripples caused by others. Meeting privately with his son, Danny, Jason entrusts the boy with knowledge usually reserved for adults. He informs him that Sasha and Daisy are leaving the country and that he will be accompanying them to help them settle safely. For Danny, the revelation is bittersweet. Over the past few months, he had grown close to Daisy, playing the role of an older brother when she needed comfort and protection. Saying goodbye to her and to Sasha is like ripping out a part of his own innocence. But Jason believes in preparing his children for the harsh realities of the world, and in this world, goodbyes are too often permanent. As the episode unfolds, what becomes painfully clear is that everyone is playing a role that doesn't quite fit. Willow is no longer the serene, healing presence she once was. Her pain has made her volatile, even dangerous, lashing out at those who try to love her. Michael is still the grieving father, but now carries the mark of a man being set up to fall. Drew, once a moral compass, is now fully in the grip of ends justify the means logic. Portia, once principled, is faced again with the horror of bending truth to survive. And Jason, always the protector, must watch from the sidelines as the people he cares for teeter on the edge of destruction. The undercurrent beneath it all is the same question whispered throughout the corridors of General Hospital. When does the fight to protect someone become a weapon? And how far can you bend truth before it shatters you? Willow's descent has created a gravitational pull that threatens to suck everyone in. What began as grief is becoming obsession, for Drew, for Michael, even for Jason. There's no longer a clear villain, only people reshaping the truth to make their pain manageable. And while Jason tries to manage this dangerous storm with tactical calm, he cannot deny that Drew's plan, if executed, would ruin Michael permanently. But stopping it would mean betraying Willow's trust, something Jason is not yet willing to do. The goodbye between Michael and Amelia, silent yet shattering, becomes the emotional core of the day. It's more than a father saying farewell to his daughter, it's a man giving up the illusion that he can protect his family from the sins surrounding them. Amelia, too young to understand, only senses the heaviness in her father's embrace. And Sasha, burdened with her own history of loss, silently takes on the responsibility of shepherding the children to a place of safety. But even distance cannot protect them from what's coming. Drew's forged evidence is already in motion, and once the altered test results enter Michael's medical file, the consequences will be irreversible. The October custody hearing is no longer a fair trial, it's a calculated execution of Michael's rights. If Portia caves, the ripple effect will not just strike Michael, but could implode her career, take down the hospital's credibility, and mark another irreversible slide in the moral compass of those sworn to heal. As darkness creeps in, Willow remains unaware of the full extent of the choices being made in her name. Her fragility becomes the justification for others' ruthlessness. But there will come a moment, inevitably, when she must confront what Drew has done on her behalf. And when she does, the fallout may be more devastating than anything her grief could have caused alone. In Port Charles, tragedy doesn't end lives, it mutates them. And in the quiet rooms of General Hospital, decisions that begin in grief too often end in ruin. The day that began with the simple goal of protecting the children ends with the terrifying realization that the adults may no longer be capable of protecting themselves. The spiral has begun, and no one, not even the most loyal, is safe from its pull.